Well, hello again, friends. Here we are, working through our 5 keys of success. One more time. Plan ahead, communicate, cooperate, follow through, and follow up. We are now coming to the follow through stage, implementation. And this is where it all happens, okay? We are made great plans, we're communicating, we're building that team. We're gonna cooperate, of course, but we've got to finish our project. All right, we got to work that plan, whatever it is. This is where so many times everything just seems to dissolve. How many of us have ever been in a nonprofit organization or a group? So we're gonna get something going in the fall. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to have a seminar, and it never follows through. Well, here we are, the follow through stage. Very important. Implementation. Yes, you've completed your planning. You've communicated that project to your team members. We're doing everything to build a cooperative team environment. Now we must follow through with that plan and that project. So here's what we need. We need the strategy, okay? Develop the action plans. Remember from our planning, we had a goal to increase sales in our case scenario by $800,000 over the next 2 years. That was the broad range. The objective strategy is to generate at least 40 new commercial customers who could at least purchase $10,000 worth of product during the year. Okay, that will get us to $400,000. So we got to set a standard. All right, this is part of our evaluation as well. The criteria against which performance is measured. The best way to do this is to break the work down in its most manageable component. In project management terminology, we would call this a work breakdown structure, or a WBS. Okay, so let's see what we can do. We're trying to create a system of improvement. Remember, we have the goal, but what's the system that's going to allow us to achieve that goal? So we need 40 new customers, 40 this year, at 10 grand a piece. We know we're going to have to screen through a lot, so we work as a team to screen 1,200 possible new contacts, and we get that list down to 960. Now, for those of us who have been in sales, there's kind of a formula out there, certainly in the business-to-business world, that it will probably take 20 sales proposals for each customer that you get. So we're going to hit 20 proposals, and hopefully good ones, that one customer will buy from that. Follow through. All right, so as we break this down, so 960 sales proposals over the next 12 months, 80 proposals a month, 40 sales proposals per team member, and we're making the numbers very easy here. We can do any numbers we want. We'll say we have 2. Okay, so we have 2 people working under us, 10 per week. We're averaging 2 new customers at $10,000 per month. There we go, an average of $20,000 of sales, new sales, per each team member. That just breaks it down. Now we also know that each month's not going to be the same in the business world. Some months are going to have 0, and hopefully we'll have to pick that up in the preceding months to 20 to 60,000. But this is how we get a nice, easy numbering system coming for us. So, let's go back real quick. That's what we want to do. Now, how do we get that done? The system of improvement. You know, as we look at when's the best time to work, when's the best time for you to do your work, Lord forbid I would say schoolwork, but we have the circadian clock. And as we get up in the morning, as we get our routines going, our mental acuity peaks right around 11 a.m. Okay? So 9:30 to 11, of course, on a Monday morning, you say, you know what? Let's brainstorm. I'm bringing in the coffee and the bagels, and we're going to have our team. We're going to brainstorm what new customers to call on. Hey, is there anything we can do via social media? Can we look at LinkedIn? What are some of the business platforms out there that we can brainstorm and get some new customers to call on, and also what could we do to possibly have our existing customers buy more from us, etc., etc. That's a nice system of improvement every Monday morning, because as we know, the case of the Mondays is it's a tough day to start that week, but if you make it fun and exciting and brainstorming, that's a great way to kick it off. That helps us build a system of improvement. Follow through, my friends. We set the standard. They were specific and they were measurable. We know each team member, 2 new customers a month. Our goal is $20,000 in new sales per month. It gives us an accountability factor. Evaluation is objective because you can come look at my calls. Okay, Randy, wow, you've called 1 person this month, and you probably should have done at least 40 to 50 sales calls, and you've brought in nothing new. That can tell me that I haven't done, what I was supposed to do. Eliminates the free riders who just kind of ride on the backs of everybody else who's working hard, and they get to be included. So you now can look at people's work and understand, hey, we've got to improve this to get it better, or you're doing a great job. Tom, you're killing it at $40,000 a month. Excellent work. So that was easy. Setting the standards, building a system. In the implementation stage, you're spending a lot of your time. You're probably planning in this stage as well. So, time management. Again, now we're focusing on your career as well. From Dr. Stephen Covey, first things first. We can get in a work day, get there at 8 a.m., do some work, kind of, again, hit up our social media, look at some emails, do a few things, go to lunch, all of a sudden come back, and nothing gets done. And as a manager, you have a very limited amount of time. You've got to meet meetings, make proposals, go to lots of other meetings. How do we organize and execute our time? Let's do that around our priorities. Now, if you think about it, you've got 4 quadrants where your time can go. You have things that are urgent and important. Generally, these things have to get done today. You have something called not urgent, but important. You have a quadrant where your day can fall into urgent, but not important. And then you have a final one that's not urgent and not important. Where does our time go into, and more importantly, what quadrant should most of our work and time go into? Again, let's flesh it out. Urgent and important. Most people would say, hey, you know what? That probably needs to be where most of my time goes to. Let's look at that. This needs immediate attention. There's a pressing problem. It's a deadline. All right? There's a crisis going on. This has to get done today. All right? We have a business model. I don't know. I think it's due April 6th. I'm just guessing. Somewhere in that first week of April. And if it is April 6th, yeah, I probably ought to start on that. We get into crisis modes because things have to be done. If that's where you're spending your time, something's wrong. You are only reactionary. How can you be proactive? Because things are coming at you and you got to get it done. Your focus is very short term. And then we run to that other quadrant, 4, that's not important and not urgent, just for escape. My friends, if you're always in this in your job, 2 things. You may have a job from hell, and that's the only way you can survive is just reaction. Physiologically speaking, you can do that for about 3 years. You can have your adrenal glands wide open, and after that 3 years, you'll get to burnout, emotionally and physically, and it's very difficult to recover. Certainly, the more we mature in life. So either get out of that quadrant or start looking and finding that new job, or hopefully you're working on that new business idea that we've done in class. So, and if you don't have a job of hell, then we're just not managing our time well. We're waiting too long, and we're procrastinating before items become extraordinarily important. Urgent and not important. Okay, that's an interesting quadrant. Well, this needs some type of attention. You're working, interruptions come up, phone calls. Hey, you got to answer that. Maybe it is the boss, maybe it's the customer, out of the blue, have some questions. Emails. We can get lost in emails if we have that email open all day long, or our phone hitting, blowing up all day long on text. And some of you may be in corporate sales, and that's the way it works. We can maybe look really busy. Again, not a lot of stuff gets done. You're just in a reactionary stage. Here's something called not urgent and not important. And again, this is a great scene from Office Space. Hey, sometimes we have to go to eBay, all right, or we go to Amazon just to de-stress, let some steam off. Maybe I look at classmates.com, all right. Maybe I troll some social media, see how other people are doing. We surf. We're just decompressing. Hey, no doubt we've got to hit a little bit of that during the daytime. But if we're always in that zone, and I'm sure you've seen some employees, some coworkers that tend to spend most of their time there, nothing gets done. And it may be a great way to get fired and lose your position. So where should we be then? Quadrant 2. It's not urgent, but it's important. And we say not urgent, that just means it's not pressing to get done this second, but we know it has to get done. Most effective leaders will concentrate their time in this area. So, you have known timelines because you're planning projects, so you're planning in this stage, you're recognizing new opportunities, you're availing yourself to better health, relationship buildings, professional development. You're happening to things. Yes, we know that we have a big project due in this course come 1st of April, but you've already went through your situation analysis. You've got your market done. You've got your customers. You're looking at your pricing. You're at the stage, and I hope you are, of you're finishing up that project. You have maybe a few more categories to fill, and then you're going to go look over it again and then maybe delineate a little bit more and add some more research. Your results here is vision, balance, discipline, control, and few crisis. Again, some of you are saying, hey man, that's just not the way my work works. My office works. I'm always in an urgent position. Well, perhaps this 5 keys has helped you to recognize how you can plan a little bit better and do some different things so we can be in this quadrant. There's Dr. Stephen Covey right there. Being proactive is more than taking initiative. It's recognizing that we are responsible for our own choices and have that freedom to choose based on principles and values rather than on moods and condition. Proactive people are agents of change. They choose not to be victims. They choose to be reactive, and they do not blame others. As we look in those 4 quadrants, you know what? This is another stage we have, or this is how our day gets filled up. There's big rocks. We all have big rocks in life, and we have little rocks. And this is the time, this vessel right here, and which represents this example, that's what we have. We have big rocks. Those represent important tasks. Okay? Hey, this is family priorities. This is the projects that have to get done. Maybe you have children and you want to go again to their outings. This is little rocks. These are smaller tasks, important, not as important as this. And this is the sand. This is the crap that just gets in our day. These are those extra emails. These are maybe the phone calls and just the little stuff that we let get in our way. And this is from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I like that name. Things that matter most must never be at the mercy to things which matter least. This matters least, this matters most, and this is the finite amount of time we have, 24 hours a day. Here's the line. What happened in this example? All that crap got in our way very early. Maybe we just didn't realize it. And then there were some things that, these are kind of important, but this was very important. Oh, this was my son or daughter's big recital tonight, and I'm still at work. I'm going to miss it. What happened here? Same amount of time. The big things got taken care of. The big projects, the big proposals that we had to do, they were done. The small stuff done. Yeah, there was some of the sand that got in our way, but we managed that. We said, this is not going to affect this. Different way of looking at our time, my friends. As we are implementing, as we are working, as we are cooperating, we're getting into a lot of emotional intelligence here. We each have an emotional bank account with every person we ever come in contact to. And we can make a deposit and we will make withdrawals on a daily basis. Oh, there's that word trust. Why isn't that a four-letter word? It takes a lifetime to build, it takes a second to break, and it takes forever to repair. This is how do we build that trust in the workplace? It's through our emotional bank account. Trust is the glue of life. It is the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It is the foundational principle that will bond every relationship that you will ever have in life, my friends. In the words of the great Bob Marley, the truth is, everyone's going to hurt you. You just need to find the ones who are worth suffering for. You know, our loved ones are going to hurt us. Our parents will hurt us. Who's worth suffering for? Yeah, I was driving around the other day and someone cut me off, and so I spent a few minutes of embarrassing myself by yelling, by saying stupid things, by pointing fingers that were not my index finger at them. And then, do you think they cared? They didn't even look at me. And here I am doing all of this. Is that person worth suffering for? I mean, I just physiologically expended a tremendous amount of energy. People are going to let us down. We can get very angry. There's only so much energy that we have. Hey, your loved ones, your spouse, your partners, your best friends, your parents, yeah, they're worth suffering for. But the average person on the street, is the organization worth suffering for? Just remember that quote. Next time you get very upset or very hurt, is that person really worth the effort to even think about? It's going to help you get through your daily lives and really help our emotional intelligence, because they're going to hurt us. Are they worth suffering for? Thank you, Bob. How do we make deposits in an emotional bank account? How do we build the trust? Well, we try to understand the individual. We attend to those little things. We keep the commitments. Wow, that project was due and Randy did nothing. He was part of the team. If I'm always coming in late and I'm not doing the work that the team needs, how much are you going to trust me? You're going to say, man, get this dude off my team. Give me somebody else who's going to at least show up and do the work and help us out. Clarifying those expectations. Showing personal integrity. Apologizing when you make a withdrawal. We are going to make mistakes. How do we rectify that? Follow through. Again, my friends, in the time, yes, we will be some of reactive thinking. Maybe that's 20% of the time. This has to be managed very carefully. Quadrants 3 and 4. We should strive to spend 70% of our time in the proactive stage of Unit 2. Not urgent, but important. Effective people are not problem-minded. They are opportunity-minded. And that is the mind of the entrepreneur. They feed opportunities and they starve problems. Peter F. Drucker, the guru of management. 15 minutes of planning in the morning may save you up to 2 hours of unproductive time in the day. This one area right in here could be the one thing that you did on a regular basis may make the most positive difference in your life, planning through your day. Yes, we may be in here, just don't stay there very long. How to run a meeting. You're going to be having a lot of meetings during your implement stage and when you're implementing your project as a manager. And so I think it's good to kind of look at that. You've been part of meetings in your workforce. I've been a part every day. Let's look at it. Let's make it a good meeting. First of all, first thing we want to do is decide what type of meeting we're having. Is it informational? I'm bringing you up to speed on what has gone on so far. Or is it decision making? Invite the right people, stakeholders, decision makers, parties, experts that you need. And I'm saying this because I can assure you, sometimes people will try to hijack your meeting very quickly. I've seen it happen. I've been in that process. Don't invite somebody who shouldn't be there. Hey, I just want to know what's going on. Oh, I want to see how you do a meeting. Nah, you know what? You don't need to be invited. You're not part of that. That's a difficult decision you have to make, but it will prove to be very fruitful for you. Make sure the right people are there and don't let someone sabotage you. Calculate those channels of communication that we learned about. There is a huge difference between 10 and 20 stakeholders. 45 channels versus 195 channels with 20 stakeholders. This number dictates the type of meeting that you design. If it's a small meeting, we know that can be very intimate and decisions and different things can happen. If it's a larger meeting, it is strictly informational. You're giving your PowerPoint, you're giving your notes, and if anyone has a question, they email you and you'll get back to them. You have the control. Don't lose it. Now, time your meeting. Let your audience know up front how long this meeting is going to be. We've all been in meetings before that drag on and nothing gets accomplished. So, have an agenda. You need this. Allow a specific time frame for each agenda. That means 5 to 15 minutes as a rule of thumb. The longer the meeting lasts, the harder it's going to be engaged and involved. Here's a little trick for you. If you're asked to come to a meeting by somebody else, just say, perfect, could I have the agenda up front? That way I can research whatever I need to have to get to your meeting, so you can't blindside me with information that I don't already have. So you may even want to give that agenda before the meeting, but use that 5 to 15 minutes rule of thumb. Start the meeting. If people are late, well, now if it's the boss that needs to be there, yeah, we wait. If not, it will just allow them to be on time next time. Okay? Stick to the agenda. All right? Stay on track, capturing, that's a great idea. I'm going to put this, and that's why we tend to use these fold-over sheets. Or you can do that on a pad of paper. We'll put that on a parking lot and maybe discuss that next time. If we have any time today, we'll get to it. Again, you have control of the room. Don't lose it, because you never get people back. In the meeting on time. Yes, you can negotiate extensions with all attendees. Issue those minutes within 24 hours. 1 page max, key issues, decisions, outcome, assigned actions. How many of us have been to a meeting and we walk away with, okay, what was that supposed to do? Make sure everyone knows what they need to do. Make sure you're taking notes. If you have some assistance that someone can take notes for you, great. But issue those meetings out very quickly. So again, we are on track of how to utilize the productivity from that meeting. Follow through, my friends. In this area, you're making a lot of decisions. You're going to make a lot of decisions in your life. Now, the ones that tend to be the most important are ones that involve money or tremendous amounts of emotional value. So how do we make difficult decisions? Well, this is a business class, and some of the outcomes that we wanted to learn was how to make better business decisions and personal decisions. So, I think many of you have heard of a best-worst analysis. Okay, that is, what are the best outcomes that can happen if I proceed with this decision? What are the worst outcomes that can happen if I proceed with the decision? Okay, And usually we stop right here, and then if this outweighs this one or this outweighs that one, we tend to go with that outcome. Dr. Ben Carson, who is the secretary of, I believe, urban housing in the present administration, is a neurosurgeon, and he has written a litany of books, and I would suggest that you read them. He's a very good author. He has a very great story to tell. And this decision that he's come from is his book, Take the Risk. He delineates it a little bit further. Goes, just don't stop there. What are the best outcomes that can happen if I did nothing? And what are the worst outcomes that can happen if I do nothing? He is one of the first, and maybe the only neurosurgeon that has successfully separated Siamese twins congenitally joined at the head. And he had tried this operation years ago, maybe decades ago now, in Iran, where two young girls were about 12 years old, and they were joined at the head. And if any, their body was attacking each other, they just were not going to survive many more, if even a year or two more than that. So the parents and the daughters agreed that they needed to have the procedure to be separated. And Dr. Carson flew in with the team to Iran, and they worked it very hard. They got there on a Thursday, they set up, they started the procedure on a Friday, and I believe it took all week, and it was 24 to 36 hours of continual surgery. He had a team of doctors and nurses and medical assistants, and unfortunately, they did separate the girls. One died immediately. He did not realize when he got in, as he quotes in the book, that the amount of vascular surgery that had to be done. It was overwhelming. And again, when you're on anesthesia for more than 6 hours, bad things can happen. But 24 hours, one girl survived, but she soon passed away. And they just felt terrible and awful. And he said, should I have even done this? So he went back in here and said, well, this was the worst outcome. They knew that the chances were very high that neither girls could survive. But what were the best outcomes if they did nothing? Well, the girls may have lived another year, and that's about it. What were the worst outcomes that would happen if they did nothing? Well, then they would not have gained the research. He said, because of what we did, I knew exactly what to do going forward. There is no way you can do a surgery for that long. So he would have had the surgery done in stages and had the different surgeons comes in at different times, which was proved tremendously successful in the next operation. So that he did. So he wouldn't have had any of the research to be based upon his further results. So let's take a practical illustration of this. You're all getting a college degree. Fantastic. What are the best things if you proceed? Well, hopefully you learn new ideas, I hope. I believe you have the potential to increase your future income of at least $15,000 per year. So that's going from a $35,000 job to a $50,000 job. All right, and up and up and up throughout your lifetime. That's good news. You can create multiple options for gain, and you can feel good about yourself. All right, that's the best. Now, what's the worst? We know college education is becoming prohibitively expensive. Thank God for Tarrant County College, and you're going to take every single course you can here before you move on. And then you can come back and get some more of our technical degrees, okay? Because we know student debt is at a crazy level. Is there increased stress in going to college? Yeah, you're on a different schedule, you're working, and you're going to school, and there's things to get done, and we know the further we proceed that this stress usually increases. Some of you have to balance family and life. You have children. You have brothers and sisters you've got to take care of. You've got others that are depending on you. And of course, you're forced to deal with change. There's deadlines, there's commitments, and you're also looking at paying back that loan, possibly. So, right in here, you could say, gosh, I don't know. What if are these kind of equal to each other? Well, let's flesh it out one more level. What's the best if you did nothing? Okay, you could save some money. That's true. You may have some lower stress levels in the short term. Okay, all right, that business model, I don't have to mess with that, no tests, and perhaps I can work more hours or I can get an extra part-time job. Okay, that's the best. Now, what's the worst if you didn't go? Are we limiting our options? Oh, absolutely. We are in an employer-dominated workforce. Therefore, they can choose anyone they want for their first-level jobs, and all the same, it looks better on them if they can have someone with a college degree. Do we limit our potential? Unless you're doing your own business, more than likely, yeah, I could limit my potential because I have the experience. I just don't have that piece of paper. Could we also learn to resist change in life? Yeah, we could. Going to college forces you into a lot of change, and the more resistant we become against change, it's very difficult to have that equation reversed. Can we limit our income? For most people, it will be income limitation without that college degree. Possibly become a victim of the global economy because we know work can be outsourced in very many different places. So that stress, long term, 10, 20 years from now, could be much higher than it is now. I hope that helps as you make your decisions. Do it one more level. The best if I proceed, the worst if I proceed. What's the best thing that can happen if you did nothing? What's the worst thing to do if you did nothing? Some of your big decisions, it may be best to do nothing. That is okay in different situations. But put it through all four tests and see if that doesn't give you a better decision and a better answer. You won the battle, but he lost the war. Friends, in our career, we are going to have to choose a lot of battles to fight. Now, this comes from King Pyrrhus. It's called a Pyrrhic victory. If we go back to our Roman Greco history, we understand that King Pyrrhus Greece was the height of a world power, but Rome was fast on overtaking that. And so King Pyrrhus sails into Rome with his troops, and he fights. It's a bloody battle, and he fights to the end, and he wins the battle. Rome retreats. He looks at what he actually won. His best soldiers have died. His best advisors and friends have been killed in the war. He says, one more victory like that, and we will be utterly ruined. All Rome did was retreat for several months. But they doubled, tripled, quadrupled their forces and came in, and Pyrrhus got off on his ship and went back to Athens. Rome had won. When he gets back to Athens, King Pyrrhus is met with a very hostile crowd, and the people are saying, you killed our husbands, our sons, our brothers. You should have retreated. Why did you do that? And then they chopped his head off in the streets. So, what can we learn from King Pyrrhus? You can force the outcome you want in the workplace, in your career, but you may create so much damage in the process that you end up losing in a very big way. We cannot have that in your careers. We have to understand which battles are worth fighting and how to appropriately fight them. What do you want to achieve? Do you just, every comment you make, do you want to checkmate somebody? Is fighting going to help or hurt? Is it worth ruining a relationship? How can the options to handle a situation, what are they? Are they public confrontation? You've been wronged in a meeting by a coworker or another manager. Or they took your idea and stole it and presented it. Do you want to stand up and say, hey, that's a bunch of crap. I had that idea, and I should get credit for it. Or do it after the meeting, we go to that person and said, now, Pat, I want you to tell me how the project that I was working on, maybe we worked on together, that you deserved all credit. Maybe the person said, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. I was a little bit nervous in the meeting, and I forgot to mention your name. Okay, great. Well, you're going to send out an email that says, this was Pat and Randy's idea, and I want to make sure everyone knows that. You know what? Sometimes that can happen. Remember the pause, my friends. There's a stimulus, there's a response or reaction, and we have that pause. The long-term consequences versus the need to be right. Again, my friends, on Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the things that matter most must never be at the mercy to the things that matter least when we choose our battles. They are the outcome, there's that reaction, there's the options we have, there's our emotional intelligence. There's the IQ, our intelligence, there's our emotional intelligence, which is much larger. This is what will propel your career. And the research proves this. Sometimes it's not the smartest person, and many times it's not the smartest person. It's the person who can get along with others, who can calm themselves in very stressful situations and show true leadership. And Van Goethe also had a great comment on apologies. We know we need to apologize sincerely when we've messed up to build that trust. A good person apologizes for their mistakes. A great person corrects their mistakes. When you have the ability to go back and correct a mistake, do it. That builds your emotional intelligence and your trust in the workplace up to a great, great level. Well, we're following up. We can't stop there. We have to evaluate. How do we know what we did made a difference or was even good? So, evaluation is the process of